As a part-time job, I do mentoring by Career Foundry, is an online learning platform.
You know BotTalk from the beginning, and you have this unique perspective that you can tell without me trying to tell it from the first perspective. You have like a third-party perspective on the BotTalk development. What changed?
I think everything, maybe except of you.
The whole hype around smart assistants are a bit down, but maybe this is kind of time for new ideas to be born.
Hackathon as a game is not a real life. It's like 2 days or 3 days, but it's condensed game of the real life. You meet different people, you create teams, you develop ideas.
BotTalk podcast.
And we have a special guest today, Alexey Vidanov, and great to have you here. Alexey is a mentor of BotTalk and has been a mentor for as long as the BotTalk has been existing. So that's great to have you here, and maybe a couple of words about yourself, your background, and so on.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. And yes, I'm Alexey. I live in Germany, in Hamburg, since 2000, and I work for DPA, German news agency, as a service owner for different services on the technical part, like internet website of DPA, digital signature, and some more. As a part-time job, I do mentoring by Career Foundry, is an online learning platform, and I mentor there the people who want to study UX and UI, and there's a specialization in the voice user interface design. Yes, and maybe it's a good bridge to how I found BotTalk, or how we met each other. It was a hackathon in Hamburg that was organized by Google, Amazon, and some cool guys from Hamburg. And Andrey was there with his team to start with the first draft of BotTalk, and I was there as a mentor for people who want to build some Alexa skills and Google Actions.
It's very exciting times. Maybe a couple of words about like hackathons. Why did you? How many maybe hackathons? Do you like the format? Why hackathon? Why were you there? Beside of course, you were the mentor for all the teams, and but overall, maybe your kind of view of hackathons, and maybe specifically on that hackathon, looking back at that, because I have some very warm memories about that one.
Okay. Yes, it was 2018, and it was really a big hype, I think, about Alexa in Germany, and Amazon organized a lot of events themselves. And it was I think, a big interest from different corporations, big companies, and so on. And yes, we just tried. I think you tried, and I tried to get this trend to be there. And I created my first Alexa skills, and I got known the startup storyline. It was another amazing creation, and we started to create the platform like content management system for Alexa and Google before. Yes, it was the early stage of the voice user interface design available for third-party developers on the site of Amazon. At the same time, we started to create a content management system, and I just talked to the guys, and they were the part of this hackathon and the organization, and in the team. And yes, they just introduced me, and I was a mentor in this hackathon, and with the same team, we organized the same Talk to Me hackathon in Berlin, and I was the second hackathon as a co-organizer. And I think I don't have maybe so much experience with hackathons, but I participated in one myself, and it was a hackathon by NDR, German radio station, and they created some new media or the future of the radio, and we created the draft of the skill and won the innovation prize there. Then I was co-organizer in one hackathon, and I was a mentor in another one. And I can say it's quite amazing experience anyway, because you have condensed experience for different parts of the, or to say maybe in other words, the real life hackathon as a game is not a real life. It's like 2 days or 3 days, but it's condensed game of the real life. You meet different people, you create teams, you develop ideas, and you get some competition, and you need to pitch the jury and get the results. The result should be some prize maybe, or I don't think maybe it's the most important thing to get the prize in the hackathon, but it's a part of the competition. And the results could be you will meet really interesting people, amazing people, and you can get in the team. And if you're in the team, you yes, you maybe will not have the whole picture of the humans and as workers, but you can get some ideas about the guys who you had there. And the same way you learn a lot, because all hackathons or good hackathons have mentors and people who can help you to pitch and so on, and you can learn from others, and if you can see how they pitch their ideas and so on. I think it's a really good idea to be there, and now in the COVID time, it's a little bit difficult, but right now I think it will be a renaissance, and we will have more hackathons and possibility to be in person there. There are some online hackathons. I participated in some too, but it's not the same. It's maybe a good idea to try something or to do something, but it's no comparison with the in-person hackathons anyway.
Yeah, totally agree that there's a unique way kind of to work together. And yeah, BotTalk was born in a hackathon, and the whole idea, or should I say the first iteration, which has nothing to do with the current idea, but anyway, and I think it's worthwhile to try out, and I would definitely recommend that if for the young founders, or not so young founders, whatever, to try to kind of find people there. And and I think looking back at this hype we talked about, hackathon where we met, the first one and the second one in Berlin as well. There are a couple of years have gone by, and the hype around smart assistants are not there anymore. And Google just announced, I think 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, that they're sunsetting third-party voice applications. Why do you think it is? What is your take on that?
I think the expectation was too high. Amazon set a really high bar for the expectation, and it was a lot of effort from their side. And if Amazon does something, then I think people think, okay, it's a great thing. And Google started to do the same. And we know that Facebook at the time, now Meta, they created their own device. And it was, I think it was a lot of hope for this technology. And Amazon itself, they say it by all events that, okay, for example, Instagram was possible only with the spreading of the smartphones, devices that the smartphone is a device that has actually all these capabilities, internet connection, photo creation, some computing power to create different effects on the photos. And only this kind of the platform like smartphones or Apple at first created, it was possible to create the apps like Instagram, for example. It was not possible before to imagine that you have something like this. And they said, okay, now we can give you this possibility for third-party developers to create amazing things and try to do it your own TikTok or Instagram on our platform. But there are a lot of problems and developers and people who try to develop on the platform actually all aware of them, and I think Amazon and Google aware of them as well. The problem is in the same time that you cannot monetize very well your creations or your apps that you create there. But at the same time, I think it's or on the other side of this development, the voice user interface design is not that. It's or Alexa is not that. Many people use the technology. I have some skills on the platform till now, and I can see they get users. It means it's not, they have attention, and Alexa, people use Alexa anyway. It's a quite important thing. Another important thing that's that we have many fields or many industries where we can see or will have the implementation of this technology that we can see in smart speakers. One example is maybe that Amazon has this AWS Connect. AWS Connect is the possibility to replace the old IVR systems, this scary automatic response system that you have by all big companies and smaller companies. Every company wants to have IVR, but or to say another way, everybody hates IVR, but every company has it or needs to have it. And actually, I think it will be the same thing. It's in many technologies like this. If you have a high expectation, we can talk about artificial intelligence, for example. Artificial intelligence, it was not the first winter or cold time where you think, oh, okay, it doesn't work at all, maybe, or not so like expected. And it was some periods of time where it was not possible to have enough computer power, or the algorithms were not so good at the time, or the data was not there. And it's actually a lot of factors that you need to combine to get it working. And I think it's the same with Alexa skills. Maybe now, yes, it's not so attractive or it doesn't work so well, but it's like some pause that we need to wait and so on.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, the technology does travel in kind of cycles. And it's interesting to see that, yeah, maybe the smart assistants or the whole hype around smart assistants are a bit down. But maybe this is kind of time for for new ideas to be born. I was more concerned in looking at the topic of our podcast. I'm, to be honest, more concerned about the startups that jump on this wagon of technology and try to kind of be there before the users are. So you said that, okay, there are some users on Alexa, and I think the controversial point is how many, and are those users enough to monetize? And this is, I think, very important kind of question.
I don't think that it's the problem with the number of users because the numbers that companies have, they're actually okay. It's the problem is maybe the availability or actually accessing the skills that you create and so on. It's something that, or maybe just the use cases that you have on the technology. And sometimes you have a lot of, as a third-party developer, you have a lot of limitations at the same time. You have, we just talk right now, we are talking about the problems that are actually known, but I can say it's, yes, the point that you have, it's actually, it doesn't matter what happens, what was the problem. The problem is, okay, you are, as a third-party developer, you get the access to the platform, but you cannot monetize this access. And it was the problem for Storyline and for other startups, for you in the same way. Yes, it's. I think for startups, it's easier actually to do the pivoting. You use actually the part of technology in your startup. Because the whole smart assistant and the technology that you have there, it's maybe building blocks that you have, and one of them is text to speech, and you get this building block from the whole package, and you focus on it, and you create actually the access to text to speech from different perspective and from the more accessible way, like websites and maybe like an app, you can use it. And anyway, I think it's for startups, it's easier anyway. And in the same way, maybe we talk a lot about smart assistants. Smart assistants work with voice, and voice is a part of conversational design. And if you create something for voice, you create conversation. Conversations are chatbots as well, and chatbots are more maybe popular, and they have more possibilities to monetize. And if you take a look at some startups like Java or a couple of others, they try to move in this direction too, that they don't use actually the platform, because okay, with Alexa as a platform, you are not so successful, or you cannot sell it so well. You can go in other directions. As I told before, for example, AWS Connect is an amazing thing. It's the same technology that you use in Alexa, but you can use this technology for automatic response system in your company, and it's amazing thing. It's much more better than we have had before.
That is interesting that, the examples that you, and your point of view, the examples that you shown us, Java and so on, kind of first coming to the platform because the platform is there, but then making a pivot into a direction and escaping the platform completely. So those barriers that you had in the platform are gone, and you take only one small thing. For example, we took only text-to-speech and then put it everywhere. On all the platforms, and the same thing goes, I think, for Joe. I think their focus right now is conversational part, that they took this building block of like logic, how to respond to what utterance, how to respond to what question, And it's really, yeah, it is really interesting that startups try to kind of deconstruct the whole package, and then it's a question like in which way like Alexa in the next iteration will come out from which building blocks, or do you think Amazon is going to try to put it all together once again in a better configuration, those building blocks, or do you think that they're just going to take whatever works, for example, the Connect that you mentioned, and just use the different parts that work in different products?
I don't know. Amazon is the company that innovates. They innovate so much. They do things that you can maybe just you have an idea, but you can see this idea implemented next day. It's actually something that they known for. They do a lot of things, a lot of iterations. If you take a look at the all Alexa devices that they presented, it's so many, and so many of them discontinued and sunsetted really fast. I think they will try, and Amazon plays long game, and they don't lose the hope and motivation if they don't get enough users. And I think the vision of Amazon is actually completed. They said at the beginning that Alexa is the technology, something like the Star Trek voice assistants and the Starship, and actually they do the same way. How it works, I don't know. I think they're smart, and they collected a lot of ideas from the startups and so on, and they have enough manpower to implement maybe some of them. And as I told before, they said, I go back to this pitch, why you as a third-party developer should use Alexa. And they said, okay, these killer apps are not there, but it's not true. They're already there. It's actually the success factor of this voice technology. You have, for example, music play. It works perfect. You have home, smart home, where you can turn on or turn off the lights and so on. And actually, it's something that works already, and they have really good use cases in this way. But I think they are right. Actually, where it will be possible to create some apps that we cannot imagine right now. It will be possible to create them on the platform, but yes, they need maybe to solve some problems that we can see. It's a low quality of the skills. For example, a lot of skills have low quality in the platform. We just play it with the numbers. We say, okay, we have 1,000 skills, now we have 20,000 and 50,000 and so on. Maybe it was wrong. They said, okay, it's like websites, but it's a little bit different. You cannot see the skills, Alexa skills, as websites. But anyway, I don't know. I can just speculate in this field, and I think for the startups, there are different ways. Some startups started actually with the technology that was not well known, and it was not so much spreaded, but they were successful. Like Siri, for example, it was a startup, and they created Siri, and we know Siri everywhere on every Apple device. And in the same way, sometimes you can create for the small number of users, and it will be successful. Sometimes you try to access so many users as you can, and that it's maybe a better approach to be faster in some way. But I think it's a lot of different ways to do.
Yeah, that is actually a very, very interesting point that you made about like killer apps, and the fact that most of the killer apps that are there on smart assistants on Amazon device on Alexa are coming from Amazon themselves, right? So this music thing and everything else, home and order let's make an order, and I put something in my Amazon whatever account, and then I can reorder, reschedule, whatever. And I think that was like that in the beginning with the iPhone, right? So in the beginning, Apple didn't want third-party apps at all. It is known that Steve Jobs said, there's a web HTML5 technology. Please use web. Do not try to kind of come into our world. We will be the ones that do the best apps. And now it is well known fact that if you look, if you're in all honesty, look at the apps that Apple creates themselves and compare them to the third-party apps, it is well known that third-party apps are much better than Apple themselves can do that. Sometimes it's the apps that Apple release themselves on iOS. It's just no
they created ecosystem, and they need each other. That's the known fact as well. That if you the same with YouTube and Google and so on. If you have the possibility to create the platform, it's the best way to go.
Yeah, but this is also very nice, and I think it's nice that we spend some time also discussing it, because everyone remembers the successful platforms, YouTube, App Store, and so on. But as we discussed, this the Amazon platform for and other platforms out there that are not successful are not remembered this much, and I think it takes. It takes a lot of courage also to start with a new platform, and maybe as a warning for the startup founders that are out there and listening to this podcast, maybe have a plan B and C and D in mind when you dive into the new and the shiny technology. But nevertheless, I'm very thankful for Amazon and Google for creating these technologies, because otherwise we wouldn't have met. And that's a great coincidence right there. Maybe jumping back, I have like a question that my assistant wrote, and that's a very interesting one actually. I didn't think about that. The question is, BotTalk from the beginning, and you have this unique perspective that you can tell without me trying to tell it from the first perspective. You have like a third-party perspective on the BotTalk development. What changed?
I think everything, maybe except of you, and it's quite important. Maybe the founder phase and the founder person is maybe the crucial factor for the success of companies, because you are small, and in this case, it's up to you if it works or it fails. And I see a lot of positive things, and yes, I like the team, and it was I think it was really difficult maybe to find it this balance in the team, and to get it in the right stage, and to get it working, everything. I think it was a lot of things, like to how to organize the process, how to which tools you want to use, and you tried maybe a lot of things to do yourself. Now you delegated a lot of things, and it was I think it was you have had a lot of good things actually did created in the process, and the same way I think it was a good idea to get advices from different persons, and I think it's a good idea to talk to other people, and then to do things yourself. You do things yourself actually, and you do not agree all the time, and you collect information from different parties, and then you do your own way. And it's maybe the most important thing that you listen to people, but you are responsible for your decisions, and you do it very well. And yes, you will say that it's your team, and it's so. Without your team, you cannot do anything. Yes, not so much.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
do
no,
something.
nothing. I tried to do it myself. It didn't work. So everything that other companies I tried to start, they didn't work out without the team. So and yeah, that's interesting, like perspective on the learning process that you have. Maybe because we talked a lot in the development stage of this startup, and you know all the ups and downs that we had during the first stages, and it's great to hear the feedback that we were trying to implement what we heard. But also kind of we also have different opinions on, for example, on Alexis, or had different opinions on that, and it is great. But nevertheless, I think it's crucial. That's why we are talking to you, and that's why I wanted to have this episode with a mentor. I think it's crucial to like listen to this kind of dynamic, because we had an episode with Laurent. He's another mentor of BotTalk from the beginning, and you are the second one. I think there are several kind of people that influenced BotTalk in the development, and also in the kind of whole news business as well, because you were actually the one that introduced us to this whole Hamburg news scene, which without it we wouldn't have been in the Next Media Accelerator, we wouldn't have made it, and so on and so forth. It is never, we come back from to the personal acquaintances. It is never to underestimate how like personal acquaintance matter a lot. I think my best memory from the hackathon is that we're standing there in the at the kind of bar eating our pizzas, and I'm telling you that we're going to destroy Storyline with the idea that we just had like 15 minutes ago. And it all developed differently, and but have this honest conversation, maybe even too honest at the hackathon because you are so enthusiastic. It's I think it's really great. Maybe last thing, looking at the time that we have left, what are the founders? Many people that listen to us are new founders. What maybe the founders should kind of be aware of in founding a startup in 2022?
Yeah, I think maybe I'm the wrong person to ask this question, because I'm not a founder of a startup, but
you're
I
a mentor,
saw some startups, and I think yes, it's actually quite important that you committed to, or you you should be committed to the idea, and you from the beginning. I think it's a couple of things. That one thing that you can have a lot of fear if and I don't want to scare somebody right now. And the same way you can have a lot of expectation, or maybe a wrong expectation on to be rosy about this idea to do something. The idea, many people say this, that the idea maybe it's not the most important part. You should have this commitment and power for execution. That's maybe the most important thing. And the sales, actually, you should know your clients, and it's amazing actually about. It's really mind-blowing what BotTalk has succeeded in the requirement of the clients, and the media companies are well known for they're difficult to do things with, and you need a lot of time to get contract signed and to get the solution implemented. And I think you have done a lot of amazing work to get in. And in the same way, if you create a startup, you should actually be aware that you need to have this. You need to sell. It's maybe one of thing that many people can forget. We create something amazing, and it's cool. We do really cool things, but after all, you need to sell them, and you need to have your turnover, cashback, and so on.
Yeah. After all, I think the great product is only the product when people buy it. Otherwise, it's just an idea. So the product part is where people actually pay money for that. And thanks for the great feedback. And I think that's a great outro of the podcast. You have to have a great idea, but you also have to have execution power and sales. So what else do you want from the mentor? And look at Alexey with his mentoring BotTalk. Thanks to his mentoring, BotTalk has been able to achieve something, and we're very thankful to have you. And also thank you very much for your time and for joining. Appreciate it.
Thank
very
you
much.
for having me. Have a nice day.
You too. Bye bye.
Much success, guys. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye bye.